Hey guys, it's Alloy. This video is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be more along the lines of the night and day tutorial, where we talk about specific situations that you can take advantage of, ones that are likely to repeat, or maybe that just are sort of commonly understood to happen throughout market life cycles all year or all season. So this would be definitely something that falls under that latter category of things that are just constantly happening that you can kind of look out for and get a gauge on over time as you just sort of develop a relationship with your investing strategy. We're going to look over this article. This is about how Lemonade shares fell a small, probably not correlated amount, as they also announced that they're going to dilute the share pool. They're going to sell some insider shares to people like us. That's literally all this is about. So before I go too deep into this, I want to say today I had already had it in my head that Lemonade was going to correct. Reason being, because right here I have a graph of it on digits, and you can see it's outrageous. It seems to go up $10 or $20 a day. After a certain point, you have to believe, you have to tell yourself there's such a thing as too good to be true, and that you're likely to see a correction. What goes up has to come down, kind of a thing. So that's my opinion before this article was posted and we got some mostly arbitrary 5.6% drop. So if I'm saying this is arbitrary and this title is kind of spinning these two things that are not really correlated, the fact that they're diluting the share pool, they're a relatively new company, right? Lemonade, they're not, I don't even think, a year old, so that they're diluting shares is pretty common at this point. And to lower the price a little bit and to balance things out, I mean, I can't think of a company that hasn't done that at some point during its lifetime. Apple, Tesla, at any point during its public trading lifetime, it's probably done some share dilution just to get more volume and more investors involved, more average people. So that was more or less the goal of Lemonade by selling 3 million shares. And you can tell just how not big of a deal that is, because if you look at Lemonade's movement, 5.6 in the grand scheme of it was not significant. It's not a lot. Like, if this were really correlated, it might be bigger. If 3 million shares being sold was really a big deal, why a 5.6 drop when it consistently goes up 14%? Does Seeking Alpha think people are dumb? They think that losing half of 14% in a day means that, what's the sentiment they're trying to draw out of people with this title in this really red text? Maybe you think that what they're doing is trying to get a discount by driving the price lower. We could look at Liz Quiche and see what the other stuff does she post about. Look at these tickers. Looks like she makes some mistakes every once in a while. And the reason I bring this up is because none of it's important. None of that matters. All you need to know is that this number and this number are not related. Someone's trying to trick you a little bit. So that being said, rather than trying to prove my point, I'm just going to go to the COO's comment about this article, which was published an hour and a half later. Lemonade COO attacks Seeking Alpha bearish articles hours before Lemonade announces secondary offering. So I could post these two articles, which are definitely, hyper related. They are following each other up. We've got one posted at just about 5 p.m. Eastern, and then this next one came out 6:35. So it's like there is some back and forth happening immediately. And Lemonade co-founder Shay Winginger attacked Seeking Alpha on Twitter early Monday, writing, "Most of the negative content in places like Seeking Alpha is written by random short traders trying to push stocks down using scare tactics and disinformation." So their defense, Seeking Alpha, is at the time of Winginger's tweet, the 3 most recent Lemonade articles were bearish, but none of the authors are quote unquote short traders. See, that's not a very convincing defense or argument, because if these people are not short traders, then it would only make sense that they want the price to be driven lower so that they can buy it up. Only the most naive investors think that the rest of us want stocks to just perpetually go up. Even the greedy days that we have, we know it has to come back down in order for us to get another good week the next week. It's those weeks that go up completely that we're like, oh shit, what's Monday gonna hold next week? We're definitely gonna see some losses. We don't really like those moments, but they're banking on the idea that you think that every investor would want a stock to go up all the time. So they're saying, yeah, our articles were bearish, but none of us are short traders. Well, of course you're writing, bearish articles if you're long on Lemonade, because you want lower prices while you still have control over that, that zeitgeist or that sphere of influence around the sentiment people have about Lemonade. So long as Seeking Alpha is still on a podium that people listen to, they're going to keep trying to lower the price. Now, I'm going to kind of cut this whole conspiracy short and say that historically, Goldman Sachs is the worst about this. Goldman Sachs is notorious for publishing articles that are bearish or counterintuitive and then buying up a tremendous amount of shares. And, it's funny at a time like this when Tesla is, again, rocketing. It's on one of those huge trajectories. It goes on like once a year. Goldman was one of the first companies to start contradicting the general sentiment about Tesla so that they could get in at a low price. And of course, it's Goldman. So when they say it, it must be true. Well, people have caught on after a while. Pretty much the big dog on the street now is JP Morgan Chase. Their word pretty much goes. They don't appear to be manipulating anything for their own gain, but Seeking Alpha, it looks like they are. And in the past, another example to remove the notion that this could be a conspiracy or that I'm alone in thinking this, Goldman Sachs has this reputation of being short a company just long enough to get that deal, and then all of a sudden they post an article about, and a famous one, they used to do this like a lot in like 2018 is NVIDIA. They would say, oh, NVIDIA's, overpriced, it's way too high. And because Goldman Sachs said that NVIDIA would drop $10, they would get a whole bunch of shares at that discount. And shamelessly, the next week, Goldman would post an article saying NVIDIA's, the bee's knees, the bear's whatever, honey. I don't know what they say. But the point being that they would just flip-flop shamelessly, hoping people's attention span wouldn't get them in trouble or held accountable. This stuff is technically illegal under the umbrella of market manipulation, but it's also journalism. So they say it's also analyst opinions. It's really hard to pin down any one person for being at fault. So no one ever really gets punished. So this is something that I don't think many beginners or even novices would come across on their own. I can put the links to these articles in the description of the video when I upload it, so you can check it out and see for yourself. But, it's really interesting, and I recommend you play the skeptic role when you're reading about the companies that you're most interested in, especially the ones that are hyped up a lot. And here's the thing that you should really take away from this. If there's one thing you want to take away from this video, is if Seeking Alpha or Goldman or any of these analyst firms want the price to be lower so that they can buy more, what does that really mean? Is that not the most bullish signal ever? So maybe your goal here after learning about this is to look for these fake bearish posts that drive a price down like 5.6%, and then you wait for that drama to unfold, and then you get it at the same discount that the banks are getting it at. I think that's a totally valid approach. If I had more money, I'd be buying more Lemonade at this price because it fell. So I wouldn't see why that wouldn't be something you would try long term, is coattailing from this. So if they're going to post these articles and drive the price down because they were lazy and they didn't research like you did, now they want to get in. Now Goldman Sachs has FOMO. Maybe that means it's time for you to buy some more shares too, just because the banks are interested in what you've got. So something to think about. Thanks a lot for watching. Like and subscribe. I'm gonna start saying that like a real YouTuber. It's gonna go outside of our community a little bit. So again, let us know what you think if you've made money using this method, and I hope you have a good rest of the week. Peace, guys.